I'd like to welcome Secretary La Sierra, spokesperson of the President of the Philippines, who will give us some perspective on the highlights of the World Economic Forum. Secretary.
Thank you, Mohindra. Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the press corps. It was a very good day yesterday. The President came out and spoke of why we are it's a welcoming party for the Philippines, and I think it's a recognition of the achievements of the administration. And by the way, we'd just like to emphasize that some who call this an economic miracle for the Philippines, it was brought about by hard work, good governance, and fiscal discipline. Things that sometimes people tend to forget that this didn't come overnight. And so we thank the World Economic Forum again for hosting. And the number of presentations, discussions that were presented yesterday were things that we could easily pick up and learn from. For instance, yesterday on the leadership in a disruptive state, where a number of speakers spoke about the importance of disaster preparedness, and also on the transparency measures that were discussed, things that we in the Philippine government could easily pick up. This is a very fruitful experience for us. For those cabinet officials who attended, we're able to share our resources or our knowledge, but at the same time, also acquire information from other countries and other businesses insofar as best practices in governance, in business practices, and in transparency and accountability. So it's been a good 2 days for us, and we'd like to thank the World Economic Forum for allowing our country to host this year's event.
Thank you very much. We're just going to have a very brief few minutes for a quick Q&A. Again, if you could just raise your hand, wait for the microphone, give your name of your publications. It's the last opportunity to ask the Secretary some questions.
Vika Cuevas from TV5 Interaction. Sir, what takeaways can you have or lessons learned from organizing this big international event? And is this serves as a dry run for next year's APEC? So, what are the things that should have been done and the things that were done well?
Well, number one, in terms of security concerns, the Philippine government was up to speed in making sure that the delegates were fully secured. We had also remember the distance between Philippine International Convention Center as well as Makati Siang. The logistics were prepared together and hand in hand with World Economic Forum. The kind of cooperation that we had with the organizers from the World Economic Forum and also from Greenbulb, the local organizer who helped us here, played a role in making sure that the whole event would be seamless and running smoothly. And I think based on the assessment of our guests and delegates here, they are very, very satisfied. We've learned from a number of things from them, but also I think the cooperation of having media partners as well as allowing a number of events and discussions to be held. Those are the important topics relevant to East Asia. And moving forward, as we host APEC, there have been a number of discussions on some of the things that we can adopt and a number of things that we can improve also as well. But learning from them, it has been a very fruitful experience.
What are the lessons learned? Just 1 second so everyone can hear.
You mentioned about the lessons learned. What are those lessons learned that you can apply for?
In terms of organizing, we will have a post-assessment, but in so far as logistics are concerned, the kind of arrangement you have with, for instance, the international organizers, that's very, very important. This is not something like a month that we've been discussing. These discussions with WEF have been going on for quite some time, the involvement of the international relations firm as well as the local, as well as the organizer of World Economic Forum. The venue, for instance, the kind of cooperation that you look into, the kind of technology that you need to have, those are the things that we'll be considering. The use of social media, which we are fully aware of, the Philippines being one of the highest users of social media. All these things in making sure that the World Economic Forum in Manila is properly set in tone, properly set also in perspective. And so the kind of huge organization would not have been possible without making certain that organizers of the World Economic Forum are closely in coordination with the Philippine organizers as well as the government of the Philippines.
If there's any other questions? Lady with the red jacket in the back, please.
Sir, what can you say that the West Philippine Sea kind of took the center stage here at the WEF, and it was discussed in some of the sessions here?
I think I wouldn't say that it really took the central tone. If you recall the plenary session yesterday, Mr. Klaus Schwab mentioned that this is a forum where we can, where they're neutral politically, but there's also a way of fostering conversation and fostering dialogue amongst businesses, amongst countries. A number of discussions, a number of topics that were discussed during the two-day forum did involve a slew of things, from governance to business proficiency, productivity, cooperation. So what's the takeaway of which delegate would depend on the perspective where he's coming from. If you're from government, you'd certainly learn a lot from how transparency and accountability is being handled in their country. If you're, for instance, a infrastructure guy, you'd learn from the takeaway from all the delegates who spoke about improving infrastructure. So it depends really on where you're coming from, and each delegate will have something to bring home to, depends on his expertise, depends on his background. So for us in government, we've learned a lot in the things that I have mentioned, but certainly this is also to a proof positive that whatever disputes you can have dialogue. This is a conversation where we can move forward in terms of making sure that we are all after improving the state of the world, as the slogan of the World Economic Forum has stated.
Sir, this morning, Indonesia and Philippines signed a historic maritime deal. And the Finance Minister Basri said that these kinds of agreements are important also to ensure stable economy of the ASEAN, especially with the ASEAN Economic Community come 2015. Are we hoping that there'll be more agreements such as this in the region in light of the ongoing tensions in the South China Sea?
The President has always mentioned the key to prosperity is stability. And that's the goal of every nation, where the key to the success of the Philippines vis-a-vis the ASEAN, the key to the success of Indonesia or Malaysia vis-a-vis to the other countries is that we ensure regional stability in here. So the three agreements that we signed with Indonesia shows the closeness that we have and the kind of stability that we foster. So we continue to speak to each other, especially amongst the ASEAN nations, emphasizing the centrality of ASEAN. So hopefully, yes, there have been a number of discussions with other countries, not only with Indonesia, not only with Vietnam, Malaysia, and other countries as well, and also the Asia-Pacific Economic Committee. But certainly, dialogues would go a very long way, and resorting always to a legal and diplomatic track would always solve hopefully the most difficult of issues.
Lady in pink, and then last question here in front, and then that'll be the last question we'll have to close.
So I'm Channel 3 Thailand, Room Tip. Moving towards the AEC in 2015. So what the Philippines prepare for the AEC, and would you be more open to the foreign investors?
Okay. We're moving towards the integration in 2015. There are a number of steps that we need to do, but moving forward, we have taken a number of steps to ensure connectivity. Benefits of connectivity have been stated. They've been very obvious: lower transaction costs, lower tariffs, and the like. Your question on, sorry, the last part? Are we ready for what? Sorry.
How would you be would you be more open to the foreign investors? Because yesterday I've heard about the ownership and also with the AirAsia comment about the, about flying with be more open in the aviation industry.
We have, our constitution has a 60-40 requirement, 60% Filipino and 40% foreign ownership. That has been always in the discussion of some of the business people. But the growth that you have seen in the Philippines, the numbers that we have generated, came about without necessarily amending our constitution. We have foreign investments coming in. What we have seen is that if you provide good governance, if you provide a level playing field in the marketplace, if you provide predictability in the business environment, you can expect, and good governance as well, you can expect foreign investors to come in. Now, there are some people who would say that let's liberalize foreign investments. Again, that's a decision that has to be taken up by the people because that is under our constitution. So that is something that the Philippine president himself has stated very often, that you provide good governance, you provide stability, you provide predictability, you provide fiscal discipline. That's when the foreign investors can see that this country is serious in making sure that your investment in our country will be protected, will be safe, and you'll certainly make or generate profits at the same time benefiting the country that you're in.
Just one final question here. We'll have to close. Thank you.
May I just break the party balloon mood, sir? I was asked
You're not
by,
allowed to do that.
I was asked by my colleagues to ask about another journalist being murdered in Digos. Are you aware of this, and why is this happening in light of how prominent this issue has it's been raised during the press conference of President Obama and President Aquino?
We have a number of, we have a task force that has been formed to investigate the extralegal killings of journalists. In the Philippines, we have a number of cases where we investigate. We make sure we determine first the motivation for each particular killing. A number of them, there have been several, but the Secretary of Justice has been tasked to investigate and make sure that we know the proper motivation. We have enough evidence to prosecute. Now, this thing has just happened recently, and the Secretary of Justice has been instructed to investigate this.
Do we have any suspicions?
Once we have any information that would lead to the identification of the suspects, the Department of Justice and the Philippine National Police would be more than ready to inform the public. But again, let me emphasize, this is not a policy of government. We have come from we fully respect the freedom of the press. While these things are happening, we are serious in our resolve to make sure that we prosecute the people who have committed these dastardly acts. All right.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Secretary
very much.
Lacerda.
Thank you very much.